Hello and welcome to another weekend vlog. I really meant to start this like 2 days ago. It's currently Saturday. I meant to start this on Thursday and it didn't happen. I've been so busy the last couple of days and I'm gonna be very busy this weekend. So that's what we're gonna be doing, is busy stuff. I've got papers to write. I have 2 papers due in the upcoming week and they are due on Tuesday and Thursday. And I've got one that's like, here's my core analysis of this novel that I'm gonna write my final paper on, kind of the general argument I wanna make before I even look at any secondary research, like here's where I'm starting. And then the other one is taking these 2 companions to Chaucer and reading through them. I've already read part of them and basically writing a comparative analysis essay of like, here's the different kind of directions they take, here's how they value certain things over others, here's what they've chosen to include, that kind of a thing. So I gotta write those this weekend. And I really meant to start this video like 2 days ago on Thursday, and then I didn't. So then I meant to start it yesterday morning, and then I didn't because I went to work, and then I got to listen on a Zoom talk that was really interesting, and I will tell you about that in a minute. But I got to do that yesterday, and then I came home and I just started working again, and I was working on getting through the intro to the second Chaucer companion I needed to look through. So I've been doing all of that and not much else. The talk though was really interesting. It was a game studies talk, and it was about Legend of Zelda, and it was called Rebalancing the Triforce, and it was about representations of gender and particularly around Link, as well as Zelda's use of cross-dressing to find agency in the series. So it was really interesting and I enjoyed it a lot. It was a fascinating talk. It was by Dr. Sarah Stang from Brock University. Yeah, really enjoyed it. That was a fun talk to listen to. I was glad that there was a Zoom option because originally it was in person. That's pretty much all I've been doing lately. I haven't even read anything at all lately. My February wrap-up is going to be comically short. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing this weekend. I'm gonna try and get these 2 papers mostly drafted if I can. If not, I'd like to have at least one of them drafted, probably the Frankenstein one since it's due earlier. And yeah, that's the plan. For now though, I need to go get some food because I have a headache. And I already took some medicine for it, but I need to get some food so the medicine doesn't make me feel nauseous. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come back, and I think I'm actually gonna read my readings for Thursday so that I don't have anything else for the next week that I need to worry about, and I can just devote all of my time to papers. I'm just hopping in to say that I'm currently reading the Wife of Bath stuff, and it's taking me a long time to get through it because I just keep stopping to laugh, because the whole like prologue to the Wife of Bath story is this like railing against the idea that women need to be virgins, and then like going on about how she had 5 husbands and how much she likes sex, and it's just very funny. The whole thing is, I guess from this modern perspective, it's just very funny to read because it's just her going on and on about how much she likes sex. There's like a whole thing where she's saying that she had 5 husbands, 3 of them were good men, 2 of them bad, and she only loved the bad ones because the good men were rich and they were old and they were bad at sex. And so she didn't have to work very hard for anything, and she was like, well, it was fine, it was whatever, but they gave me all their land and their money, so like there's that. And she just keeps going on about it. Like, I am looking at an interlinear translation so that I can kind of like get a sense of the Middle English language, but also get like the content and the understanding a little bit easier. This section is like 59 pages in the interlinear translation, and I'm like 11 pages in. I'm still in the prologue to her tale. Don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. I know it looks like I haven't moved, and that's because I haven't moved. I did finally finish the Wife of Bath's tale. It's been, I don't know, maybe another hour or so since I last updated. I got up earlier to take a little break and walk around because I was still trying to get rid of a headache. Finally gone now though, and so I have cat hair in my mouth. My cat sat on me for a while. I'll try to remember to include a video clip because it's very cute. But I finished the Wife of Bath's tale, and it's really weird because the vast majority of it is the prologue where she's just like telling the full history of her and all of her husbands and like her philosophy on sex, and that's just kind of most of it. The interlinear translation I was using was 59 pages long, and the prologue was 40 of them. And that last 19 pages is her tale, which is actually about a knight in King Arthur's court. And he rides into town one day, he sees a young woman and he rapes her. And he's supposed to be executed, but the queen intervenes and is like, hey, let me handle this. And she tells the knight, if you can come back a year and a day from now and tell me what women love the most, or what they most desire, I'll spare your life. And if you can't tell me at the end of a year and a day, then you're going to be executed. So he leaves, he goes around, spends a year and a day traveling everywhere, and of course, no two women agree. And he finally comes back, and on the way, he meets an old woman who is like, I have the answer for you, but you have to, you'll owe me, basically. Whatever thing I request, you have to give me. So he goes and he gives the answer to the queen, and kind of everyone that's assembled. It's like this group of women from the town. All the women that the queen knows are gathered to kind of hear his answer, and he gives the answer, which is that women want sovereignty over their husbands and over their love. And all the women are like, yeah, sounds good to us. And so he's about to be freed, and the old woman who gave him the answer is like, you have to marry me. That's my demand. And he's like horrified, but he has to go through it. He marries her, and then she gives him a long speech on like nobility as coming from good deeds rather than coming from wealth and beauty and bloodline, which is kind of what he's upset about, is that he's had to marry this like ugly old woman. And she basically is like, you know, you can either have me old and ugly and always faithful, or you can have me young and fair, but there will always be others trying to take me from you. What do you want? You get one or the other. And he ends up responding, do whatever you want to do, what is best for you. And he basically gives her sovereignty over him and over their relationship. And she's like, sweet, I'm gonna be pretty and also faithful. And it's a weird and interesting story. I think it's a little bit creepy in that like he's a rapist and he never has any kind of comeuppance for that. But I am about to read an article that I've just read the kind of intro abstract thing for, and it looks like that article is arguing that the fact that he's not punished is a call to activism, and that the story is promoting a vision of justice that's based in like re-education instead of like just executing people. This article, by the way, if you're interested, the article is Contracts, Activist Feminism and the Wife of Bath's Tale by Emma Lipton, and I think it's from the Chaucer Review, maybe. Anyway, looks like it's gonna be a really interesting article. I've got that one, and then I've got another article that I believe is about the prologue, about the domestic violence that the wife of Bath experiences in the prologue. So, very interested to see where that's gonna go. Obviously, if you decide to read any of this, major content warnings for rape and domestic violence for the Wife of Bath's Tale. It's pretty dark at some points, but it's really interesting. It's a very strange tale and very different from the other things we've read up to this point. It looks like I still haven't moved. I have. I'm wearing a different shirt now. It's Sunday. I did finish all my Wife of Bath readings yesterday. I read all the articles and everything, and I think I figured out my thesis statement that I'm going to use for my Frankenstein paper. Kind of my general idea is that there's a lot of legal representations in Frankenstein. We get two separate court scenes with very different outcomes, but also the creature tends to couch his own story in legal terms. And so I think I'm gonna write about how, in doing so, the novel seems to be highlighting a futility to retributive violence, where like when you're just trying to get revenge or, you know, execute the perpetrator or whatever, there's kind of a futility to that doesn't ultimately create change. And it doesn't offer a specific model for an alternative, but it starts to gesture at some of the things that maybe are necessary in terms of a model that looks at or is based in interpersonal care, and what was the other thing I wrote down? Interpersonal care and preventative action, where there's this sense that many of the things that happened wouldn't have happened, any of the crimes that take place wouldn't have happened had there been preventative action for the creature to keep him from ending up in this situation where he's kind of outcast from society, as well as this necessity for interpersonal care, which comes from a speech relatively early on in the book in part 1 when Elizabeth is talking about the justice system in the first legal case of the book. I'm trying not to be too spoilery on here, because I know that some people haven't read Frankenstein yet, and I think you should. It's really good. So I'm trying not to spoil it for anybody, but there's like a lot of legal stuff. And there's a speech that she gives in part 1 where she's talking about the injustice of the justice system as experienced in part 1, and basically saying that, like, rather than creating a sense of justness for the victims, it just is retributive violence on the part of the state so that the state can maintain control over its citizens. It's a really interesting little speech. I thought it was fascinating. I'm not sure it's actually in the later versions in the 1831, but it is in the 1818. I've been trying to think through this for a few days, and then it just so happened that I was reading a paper on the wife of Bath that was about retributive justice. It's hard, that's a hard word to say. Basically, you know, an eye for an eye, justice, in the wife of Bath's tale, and how that is kind of replaced in that story with a more constructive form of justice where it's about re-education and social change. And I think that Frankenstein never really articulates like what there should be instead. It doesn't give us like a model of like, here's the kind of justice that we should be looking for. But it starts to poke holes in a retributive justice system and say, like, here's some of the issues with it and some of the things that might have prevented any of these crimes from happening to begin with. So I think that's an interesting aspect of the story. I think that's what I'm going to focus on. So today I'm going to be drafting that paper. And then if I can kind of get that done, I might work on my other paper. But otherwise, that paper, the Frankenstein one's due Tuesday. The other thing I need to write, the comparative analysis, is due on Thursday. So if I don't get to it today, it's not a huge problem because I will have time over the next several days to work on it. And I'm thinking I might request a day off if I need it to kind of dig into everything. But I'm done with all my readings for the week, so like all of my time for the next few days can go towards finishing up these papers, so that's good. Well, it's Monday now. I forgot to update yesterday, and yeah, we're in exactly the same spot because I've just been living here for the last several days. Been living at my desk working. But yesterday was a pretty successful day. I didn't get as much done as I had hoped, but I did get a big chunk of stuff done, and I feel good about it. I'm gonna finish up a paper draft this afternoon. Things are progressing. I'm feeling a little bit better. I was very stressed out over the weekend trying to get everything figured out because I'm working on these 2 papers that are due this week, and then I need to also email the graduate program director and start figuring out like thesis stuff. So I've just had like a lot on my mind. It was a very stressful weekend, but I feel like I'm in a comfortable spot. I'm gonna finish this one draft today and probably take a little bit of a break this evening because I've not done that in a few days. And then tomorrow I'm off work and I'm going to spend all day working on my other paper, excluding the one brief amount of time I need to get on Zoom for my Tuesday class. So, brief Tuesday morning update. Please ignore the hair. I did finish my draft last night. It was pretty late. I think I finished writing it about 9:30 or so. And then I sent it off to a friend of mine who I appreciate her so much because she proofread it right then and there. And I think it was a little bit later maybe. I think I finished the draft around 9:30, 9:50, somewhere in there. Anyway, I sent it off to her. She proofread it and gave me some good comments and feedback. And then I went through and dealt with all of her comments yesterday. From there, I am going to be cutting it down today. So it's due this evening at 11:59, but all I have left to do is cut it down because it was a 3 to 5 page paper assignment and I have written 7.5 pages. So I need to cut it down a little bit. But I already have some ideas about how I'm going to do that, and yeah, that's my project for this morning. Overall, I feel like everything is moving in a good direction. I'm feeling a little better today than I have over the weekend. What else? I pretty much just spent all of yesterday working. I read about 10 pages of She Who Became the Sun yesterday. I took just a very short break and read 10 pages of this just because I was like on the verge of a meltdown and needed to like walk away for a minute. So I read 10 pages of this and I'm loving it. Like, I'm reading this book so slowly, but I'm really enjoying the process of reading it, and I can tell this is going to be a new favorite because I keep, you know, forgetting. My screen went off and so I just had my gut dark, sorry about that. I keep coming back to it and I'm like, I'm remembering who everyone is. I remember exactly where I'm at, what's happening, what's going on. Everyone's motivations, like it's sticking with me really well, which is how I can tell it's probably going to be a new favorite because It's just sticking with me so well, and every time I pick it up, I'm just like delighted to have the time to spend with it. So I'm enjoying reading it slowly, and I'm looking forward to hopefully reading more of it in the not so terribly far future, maybe. That being said, I'm hoping to be doing a lot more reading soon. Once these papers are done this week, it's a little while out before I have another like major assignment due, so I can kind of break up my work a little bit more and hopefully have some more time to give myself downtime so that I can, you know, not be on the verge of a meltdown like I was yesterday. So yeah. Other housekeeping thing, there is not going to be a weekend vlog next weekend. I've been enjoying making these a lot, and I feel like it, one, keeps me in the habit of picking up my camera and filming, and two, kind of accountable for the stuff that I'm working on. So I've been enjoying doing this, but I know this one's going to be kind of boring this week because it's me just talking about papers. But there's not going to be one next week because I'll be in the beginning of my spring break. So this Friday is my last day of like classes and work. So once I get out of work, I'm actually going to be going on a trip with my partner to go visit his family. And after that, I'm in spring break. We're going to be, well, I mean, technically that's the beginning of my spring break. So I'm going to be doing a vlog for that whole week. So starting basically Friday afternoon, evening, probably won't film a lot while we're on our trip, just because I don't know that his family wants to be on my YouTube channel, or he wants them to be, you know. But we're gonna go do that, and then that week when I get back, I'm basically gonna be catching up on a couple of chores that I need to get done, small things like cleaning out under my sink, stuff like that, where I've just not had the time to do it. And then I'm hoping to be doing a lot of reading and a lot of gaming. So yeah, that'll be coming up soon. I imagine that will go up on the Tuesday after my spring break, so that'll be like March 14th. And yeah, that's kind of the next vlog that'll be coming out. But I've been really enjoying vlogging again, and I hope that these are interesting to you guys. Hopefully not too boring, even when it's just me being freaked out because papers. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you've liked it, even though it was probably long and boring. But if you have liked it, I hope you'll consider giving it a like and maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting every Tuesday and Saturday, so there is more content coming soon, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.